two special guests here with me today for today's show. We will be streaming. This is streaming live, guys, on YouTube and on Twitter. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe. And if you're on Twitter, hit that retweet and like. Make sure you follow Bitcoin Vegan. And I was going to say follow Nick, but he's locked out of his Twitter account. But you can still follow him as well. We're going to touch on a couple subjects. I'll let Nick tell you guys his Twitter account in just a moment. But first, we're going to jump into today's sponsors. First sponsor is Pop, guys. If you guys are interested in collagen, or ladies too, this is really for the ladies, but men can take it too. I take it every day with my smoothies. I just break the capsules open and I put it in my smoothies. Use promo code 25, get 25% off, and it has free shipping. So shout out to Pop. And then again, if you guys are interested in pre-ordering my new book, Bitcoin Dad, Fiat Dad, coming soon. Pre-order with Fiat, or you can pre-order with Lightning or Bitcoin, and pretty much going over Bitcoin Dad, which is what I am now, and versus my Fiat self. And I'm also going to teach you guys about business credit and all that stuff in the book as well. So make sure you guys go pre-order. And with that being said, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and some business aspects and what we can do to get some more Bitcoin. So first and foremost, Justin, thank you for joining. Nick, thank you for joining. Go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll start with Nick.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick. My Twitter handle is BC_of_Bitcoin, BC_OF_BTC. Nice to meet everyone. Hope you all enjoy the show.
Excellent. Go ahead, Justin.
What's going on? I'm Justin Redrick. I go by Bitcoin Vegan online, Bitcoin_vegan. You can follow me on Twitter. Or you can also follow my nonprofit, Bitcoin Transformation Community. I know it's a lot, so BTCTC1SET. That's BTCTC1SET.
Excellent. So what we'll do then, since you have some new ventures, Bitcoin Vegan, I want to talk about that real quick, and we'll jump to you next, Nick, about what you're doing and what you're planning on doing, if you have anything that you got planned as well. But Bitcoin Vegan, what's going on with your incentives? I know we got your anybody that hasn't already gotten his book, make sure you go order his book. Where can they go get your book first and foremost?
I mean, they can get the book from Amazon. Just go straight to Amazon, type in From Bars to Bitcoin, or you can go to FromBarsToBitcoin.com and buy it directly from the site.
Don't buy on Amazon. Don't buy on Amazon because they're gonna take a piece of his money. So buy directly from the website. I tell all my entrepreneurs, if you can do it yourself, do it yourself. But of course, you can get it on Amazon. But I highly recommend you just buy directly from him so he can get that money.
Yeah.
Amazon don't need no piece of that bread, bro. They got enough bread.
Yeah. So go to
Bezos is already rich.
Man. FromBarsToBitcoin.com. You go right there and shop. You can buy it in USD or you can buy it in some sats. Whatever works best for you. We prefer sats, but whatever works best,
Okay.
Sats work best.
Tell us about your new venture, and tell us about the new venture, the new business venture you got going on. I'm excited.
So, man, first things first, shout out to Chris. Thanks for everybody for having me on here, man. He showed the book From Bars to Bitcoin, and ever since I launched the book in 2021, it's been taking its own type of just spin and turns. Earlier this year, I think it was January 31st, we launched a documentary with Compass Mining, directed by Will Foxley, called From Bars to Bitcoin. It's on YouTube, available for people to watch. It's about 7 minutes. And the new venture, the Bitcoin Transformation Community, it actually sprung out as an idea that I had with the book and the documentary. Over the past few years, I've been doing some education stuff, whether it's been at summer camps with Bitcoin Zay with kids, or the Black Bitcoin Billionaires on Clubhouse. If everybody's been on Clubhouse, those were legendary days in the Bitcoin space. And grew from there to go into the Bitcoin Academy to teach Bitcoin to people in the Marcy House residents. And during that time, I'm just always talking to people, learning about, how we can make Bitcoin more accessible for people to use and for them to buy. And a lot of times it always came back to people not having jobs, or the regular average everyday person doesn't feel they have enough money to buy Bitcoin. So I was always thinking like, how can that gap be bridged? And then from there, well, before there, on Clubhouse, I used to host these rooms. A little bit about my story. I came into Bitcoin space out of prison, wanted to learn about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin had changed my life in that regard. And I wanted to find ways to give back to the same type of people. So I used to host these rooms in Clubhouse called From Bars to Bitcoin every Monday. And I would teach men, women, juveniles, families, people in prison or coming home just about Bitcoin and the importance of financial literacy and Bitcoin literacy. But I didn't want to just stop there, so I wanted to figure out how to get inside prisons and teach this education, and then also provide an avenue for people to get jobs. So, I had gone to a conference in Houston, and it was the Empower conference. It was like the Bitcoin mining conference, and I met a lot of people there. And people said, we need people to help. We need people to do these jobs. And I was like, what type of people are you open to? And they were open to people with records. And so, to shorten the story up, I got in contact with a guy by the name of Cardell Sims, and he allowed me to join his re-entry tour to go inside prisons and teach Bitcoin. But the nonprofit came from an idea that me and my co-founder, Dr. Stacy Boyle, who also I met on Clubhouse, we combined it, our individual skills and talent, and put this together. So we have a tour going on. We've been accepted into about 10 different states, with the first one being in Washington, D.C. And that's where we're going to do the education part. But the part about employment, we have a friend by the name of Jose De Hoyos. He's a partner to the nonprofit. He has a company called Let's Fucking Go Mining. And he's open to doing the training aspect for people to get out of prison to then be trained ASIC repair technicians or advanced to get jobs into the space to be able to add some more efficiency into the Bitcoin mining system, which will ultimately add more efficiency to Bitcoin. So that's the skinny of it. We took the nonprofit route because more times than not, from what I noticed, people love education. They love education initiatives. And some of the business models in the space, like exchanges, they just seem to crash 24/7. So I wanted to try something different, something I've never done before, and see how we can impact some lives. So that brings us up to date here. And if it made any sense, let me know. If it didn't, you can kick me off the show.
Oh, that's a dope story.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, of course it made sense, bro. Especially since the system, like you said, it's going to discriminate against you. I mean, I guess it depends on your crime, right? I mean, if you went in there for, I mean, you went to prison, people go to prison for a couple of different things, right? So it just depends on the crime. But I can understand, the skepticism of hiring people, but at the same time, it's going to create a perpetual cycle of people creating crime because if they don't have jobs, right, they're going to continue to commit the crime to make the money, and it's just a repeating cycle, right? So now you're providing an opportunity of education with Bitcoin and those skills that they can learn, like you said, maybe mining, learning how to repair miners, right, and just all that education is going to help them to get out of the system and create a new way. So much love and salute to you for that. And that's why I donated, of course, because I'm here to help and, here to make sure that if I can be a part of that, I want to be a part of that. So shout out to you. And the only thing I don't like is that it's nonprofit because, I would say be for profit. And if they got a problem with it, get up out of America. This is a capitalistic country, and just because you do something doesn't mean, you shouldn't get paid for it. I know you're doing it for the right reasons, but if it were me, I'm for profit, bro. Let me get my bread.
I mean, but like, here's the thing though, bro. A lot of people have a conception that people in nonprofits don't get paid. Like, y'all know Kaiser, the CEO
The
of
NFL.
Kaiser, they're a nonprofit, bro, made like 18 million. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
They get paid. Like nonprofit
Okay.
organizations, they get paid. It's just the fact that you're providing a service or good to the community, not just, we create a product, you buy from us. It's a way to, let's just say your community is ridden with crime and people who get out, they never get another shot. Too many people too many organizations won't pay for me or pay for others to train their competitors. But if it's in a way where it's like, you're involved in a community that can then influence an industry, people are willing to, donate to that type of thing. But like the biggest nonprofits in America right now is the church. And that man get paid every day, every Sunday he gonna get paid. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing like nobody's doing anything for free out here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
That's right. Okay.
it's the
No,
fact
no
of
problem.
like,
I stand corrected. My bad.
nah, you
I was
good, you
watching.
good, you good. It's just like really when you think about it, man. It's a great initiative, but companies want to know how I can make money and save money, and certain community aspects in that regard don't look good if they got to pay a certain amount of taxes of it. But they get a write off or something, and it can influence them on the back end. Then it's just many ways to skin that cat, man. It's all that it is. There's many ways to skin that
Absolutely.
cat.
It's definitely a
But
write off for them, and it's a great reason, a great opportunity for them as well. So, like I said, shout out to you.
yeah, we still got different avenues of for-profit stuff in the works, but we got to see what the market wants. It seems like the market wants something different from me than they want from everybody else. So
No problem.
we'll try to do that.
Excellent, excellent. Nick, what's going on with you, brother? Let us know a little bit about yourself, and if you got anything going on or what your plans are for the future. What's going on with you?
Yeah, Bitcoin only. Only Bitcoin, no shit coins whatsoever. We don't mess with that over here. Um, but me and Chris got connected because he was actually helping me with my credit. We got a few things off my credit, got my stuff on the 700s. No, nothing left. And now we were talking about cash flow the other day, and we just had a normal call. Ended up going like an hour, and here we are talking about, man, what's the point of cash flow? What are you doing with the cash you're generating? Well, the goal is, as Bitcoin, we want to stack as many sats as possible. So we're trying to generate cash flow to buy sats. What's the best way to generate cash flow? Everyone's different, but when you can leverage someone else's money, which we were talking about, to generate cash flow to buy sats, the goal is still the same. It's just how do you want to get to that goal? And the more we know about Bitcoin, principle wise, it teaches you how to be a better human being in everything, like the proof of work, the decentralization. Like these are foundational principles for all of us to be better people, because again, like proof of work, you can't just become rich. You have to put the work in to get rich. You can't just get the money to buy Bitcoin. You have to work for that money to stack the sats. But if I can use someone else's time to generate the money, and we just went off like an hour, just like whoa, like here we are today. But I love Bitcoin. That's why I'm here on this call. I like talking to Bitcoiners, because if you're a Bitcoiner, we probably fuck with each other. Sorry for the loud cuss or not, but like we understand, like, hey, just because the news or the government says it doesn't mean it's true. And if they say something, you got to question everything. And the more you start questioning everything, it's like, okay, that makes sense. That makes even more sense. And once you go down that hole, you ain't coming out. And if you do, you are coming out, but a better person.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. British Huddle just joined. He's going to be on here. He comes from a investor background, and I know us three are um, we're not on this. I'm not saying that we're not on the same level, but we come from different backgrounds. So that's why I love this panel right here, right? Because we all come from four different backgrounds, right? We can all compare, contrast. We can agree and disagree, and we can share our thoughts and ideas. But the one thing about all of us is that we all love and believe in Bitcoin. So welcome, British Huddle. I don't know if you're there or
Good
not.
good evening, everyone. I'm just trying to sort out a pot of tea and a cigar, but as soon as I've done that, I'll be on camera.
No problem at all.
Right.
Excellent. So Nick, thank you so much for hopping on, bro. I definitely appreciate you coming on and us having, conversations about money and about business, because, that's why I do what I do. And I've been doing it for years. Right. But it's just to, open our minds, because at this point in our age and at this point in our lives, like, you're absolutely right. The end goal is to accumulate more Bitcoin. How you do it is up to you. But, instead of us working hard, right, slaving hard, right, and working harder, right, we need to be working smarter. So that's why I love teaching people about credit and teaching people how to leverage their credit, right, and to stack, use it to your advantage, because we hate the credit system, we hate the banks, but guess what, we can use it to our advantage. That's the game. We can't sit here and complain about the system when we can just learn the game and use the game and use it to our advantage, which is what I did. Right, I stacked I fixed my credit. I had student loans that were reporting negative on my credit. It took me over a year to take them off my credit report. I was frustrated. I was angry. I was like, man, they're never going to take this off. But guess what? I still stuck at it. And by me doing that and being persistent and, knowing my laws, right? Knowing the FCRA and just, I've been in this business, right, for so long that I knew, if you don't give up, you stay persistent, that it'll work. So the student loans got taken off my credit report. So that opened up the doors to where I could, I built my credit up. And then I was able to get, not only myself capital, right? I got my brother over 100,000. I get all my clients $50,000 to $100,000 per LLC, and then now, they can take that money into invest into whatever they please, whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be real estate, whether it be stocks or options, or Airbnb was popping at the time. My brother started that up when I got him his capital. You can do Toro, whatever it is that you want to do. You need money to start and get your book off the ground, right? You need money for marketing because you need to promote your book. It takes money to make money. And instead of us working so hard and getting taxed the most at a W-2, right, at the job, and it takes all your time away, we can just use the bank's money to invest into our products or services, or, Bitcoin or whatever it is that you want. But now you have the bank's money, and it's 0% interest. You can use it for 6 to 18 months, borrowing money for free. And as long as you're making money, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. So like I said, shout out to you for coming on here, and, because I wanted to get your perspective and, get your thoughts on it. And, it's great to hear it coming from somebody else, versus me saying it all the time, right?
Of course. Yeah, man. Like, it's mind blowing when you start sitting down, like, just, whoa, time out. I didn't learn this stuff in school, but I went to school for more than half my life, but I didn't learn nothing like this. I got sisters that are in school right now, and I know they're not learning anything like this. So I get, like, we were talking about this the other night on the phone. I was like, if I learned something, I want someone else to find. Like, you're my friend, you're my homie, you're like family. I want you to learn the same thing because I know what I just learned from it. And if you can learn this also, it's going to propel you to be better. And that's the end of the day. Like, I want my team to win. I don't want to win by myself. And I can see someone else succeeding. And if I had any part to do with it, even a little bit, it just makes me happy because good things come to good people who do good things. So, like, I watched something. I mean, whoa! I met Chris originally when during a Thanksgiving we were giving food out. That's how I met Chris. Like, okay, like, who does that if they're not a good person? It's like, okay, well, those are like foundational principles, and like you build on those. So that's how I met him. And it's like, I'm sure Chris makes great money helping people repair credit. Good. He's providing a service that helps you become a better person. And if he didn't charge, or if you didn't charge for your book, it's an abundant world. There he is. You got your cigar and champagne, or what?
I don't drink alcohol, but it's a cigar and
Me
a
neither.
pot of tea. Yes. Nice to meet you, gentlemen. Nice to meet you, gentlemen. Nick, Justin,
Likewise.
obviously, Chris is my brother anyway, but lovely to meet you both.
What's going on, man? We've met before, man. I usually go by Bitcoin Vegan online and Clubhouse, man.
Ah, okay, got it. Perfect. Lovely to put a face to the Clubhouse persona.
Yes, sir, man.
Excellent. Welcome, British. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Again, thank you guys for joining. And I just love us having these conversations and being online and, being able to talk about these things because other people need to hear these conversations. I have a statement, or I actually want to get your thoughts. British, we're going to jump to you in just a moment. I want you to introduce yourself. But before we do, Bitcoin Vegan, I know you tweeted something, right? And it actually stuck out to me and it made me laugh, right? You tweeted about the panel at Bitcoin 2023.
24.
2024. I'm sorry. Let me know why you tweeted that, how you feel about it, and we can all talk about it as well. And then, British, I want you to introduce yourself.
I mean, because it's the truth. Like, it's the same faces. It's been the same people for the same 3 years, and I'm cool with a lot of those people on there. Like, no, nothing against the people. If they're gonna ask you to keep going, then damn, keep going, right? But there has to be more. There are definitely more voices out there in the space. There's more to talk about than the same old thing over and over. And what really happened was when I was at the Oslo Freedom Forum, my first international trip ever. was because of Bitcoin. I was invited out there by Gladstein and the Human Rights Foundation. And I just noticed how Bitcoin was talked about in Europe. And a lot of it was just behind more than just talking about the same old thing every conference. What's the price going to do? What's this new thing here? What's the new thing to joke about? Like, after a while, you just start looking at it like, damn, like, is anybody new going to emerge for y'all to speak at the conference? Like, what's going to be the newest thing to bring up? You know, if it's the same damn thing, it's going to be the same thing. Mollis is going to end it. They're going to have a presidential candidate come up there. I mean, it gets to the point that it's just redundant. You can almost just in your mind picture what it's going to be about. I'm just like, damn. There are more people who there are more people out there than just who they keep putting up there. It's like, damn, these are the same people for the last 3 to 4 years. Like, what the hell? Like, and from like a business standpoint, other than talking on the damn camera, I don't know what these people really do. Like, what do y'all do for Bitcoin? You know what I mean? Like, that this is just the thing to keep having the same old people wordsmith the same old shit. Like, it's just that's
Okay.
just how it boils down.
Yeah. Okay. So you tweeted that it's the same people, and you think there should be different people speaking. I'm sure they have more people, but the main batch is the same amount of people. Is that the same people? Is that what you're saying?
Bro, it's the same people at every damn conference around the world. You just shuffle them
Okay.
to a new place. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Nick, your thoughts, and then British, your thoughts, and please introduce yourself as well, British, when you go.
So I've been to the conference the last 2 years, and I agree. There's a lot of the people that were there, the same people that were there the time prior. I enjoy it. I mean, now at this end of the day, there's people that are there that it's like, okay, what are you really providing? What kind of value is that? And then you're like, wait, Bitcoin means something completely different to every single person, and depending where you live. Like in Florida here, you know, Bitcoin's for America. Oh, what's the price? But you go to another country, when you went to you say you went to the Human Rights Foundation or the Oslo Forum over in Norway.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, now we're really talking about why Bitcoin is so awesome. Because
Right.
I remembered last year, that was my first Bitcoin conference that I went to. I forgot the lady's name, but it struck me, and I haven't forgot what she said. She was, I think her last name is Park, Yomi Park. I don't know if any of you guys have heard her story, but she's either North Korean or South Korean.
South Korea, yeah.
And she was talking, like, saying like her actual story, like your test is your testimony, right? So she was sold as a sex slave. And and I read her book after, because it really stuck with me. So when she got sold, she shared, like, she had to get butt naked. Like, she couldn't have anything. So how, like, if you had $100 or a bar of gold, whatever it may be, how can I take my wealth? How can I ever break free of that system? And now her mission has turned into, I want people to become Bitcoiners so they aren't trapped by a system. There's a way out. They have their wealth. If they can memorize 12 words in their head, they can go anywhere in the world and make their money. So being a slave to me, like, I love it. You know, I like the principle, I like the proof of work and all that, but like, these people are actually like, are going, like, this is real life stuff. Like, this is really going to help people, like, propel, like, civilization in certain areas way faster. Like, I know you mentioned Jack Mahler's, like, what he did, he posted something on Twitter, and it was like someone who was traveling in another country, and he's like, we had an emergency. And just imagine, like, God forbid, like, your family members in another country, right? And they're traveling, and they have an emergency that happens, and they need the money immediately. And you got $100 million, but they can't get that money right away. So your money is no good to them. Like, Bitcoin literally fixes that. You can literally send your value across anywhere in the world immediately, and that now is not an issue. So you literally are saving lives. Or not you, Bitcoin literally allows families' lives, your friends, your brothers, people. Like, I could donate to anyone anywhere in the world right now if they have a Lightning address. That's huge. And that's the kind of stuff like you mentioned, Justin. That's the message I believe like people really need to understand. Like here, it's not the number go up. That's cool and that's a benefit of Bitcoin, but that's not why. Like that's why people get into Bitcoin. That's not why people stay.
Yeah. It's more so the freedom go up. There was this one woman I want to say, Marion, and she was telling us a story of how she would use Bitcoin to pay ransom for some of her activists in out of Uganda. And even the Human Rights Foundation, they were able to raise funds and help, just different freedom groups who stand on the line in the face of like death of other governmental regimes, and they use Bitcoin to keep going afloat. And it's just like, damn, it gave that feel of like back in 2016, 2017, when I first came into Bitcoin, and all you hear was people just talking about how the tech was working, how it was a freedom thing, how, the decentralization of it. And it wasn't until I was just hearing like, damn, the only thing we talk about in America with is the money going up. I mean, again, that's a benefit. I know I'm not going to cap on it. But at the same time, it's just like, that's all we talk about at every single damn American conference, it seems like. How much money we going to save with Lightning on this? What are, like, I'm telling you, it's so much wordsmith that it's just like, yo, it's a limited supply. There's a time it's going to be stopped being made. This is what affects the price. Everything else, I mean, it's cool to talk about, but it's just like you start wanting to hear something new. So, it was amazing to hear people actually talk about like real life freedom as opposed to just like we talking about like life or death freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Life or death freedom. That was a different type of conversation to have.
I love Gladstein. Like I think his messages are always resonate. Just it's just Bitcoin is freedom, right? Like, and that's the message.
And that's what made me go inside prisons with it, because when I was in prison, when I came home from prison, they told me what Bitcoin was. I'm just like, well, how could Bitcoin survive the test of prison? And, if you got a lot of stuff in your contraband, COs can take your stuff. If you got a cell phone in prison, they can take your cell phone. If you got Bitcoin on your cell phone, but you got your private keys, I was just like, damn, they really can't take your money. Like, there's no way they can take your money if you know how to keep up with your stuff. So, those are the messages out there. But we're fortunate to live in a country where we can just talk about money. You know what I'm saying? So that's a blessing.
We're the reserve currency.
Yeah.
Right.
So to speak.
Our money is not deflating as fast as anyone else's. So we see, we look at it differently, right? Mm-hmm. But it's still deflating. Like I was texting with Chris earlier, like NBA players are now getting paid, like Jaylen Brown's getting paid $300 million over 5 years. 7 years ago, that number was 150. It's wild.
And he's only going to get like 20. This is going to be a big only. He's only going to be able to get 24 million a year after taxes.
Texas, that killer, man. British.
What's up, Hotter? British Hotter.
I already know what's coming. I know what's coming.
Yeah, we know it is with British. What's up, man? We know.
Listen, I completely agree with everything that you said, Justin, about the Bitcoin conferences. I went to one conference in 2021 where I met Chris, and that was enough for me. I was like, I don't need to go to any more of these for the time being. So, and I also really truly appreciate how much work is being put into just people giving from their hearts about trying to educate people on Bitcoin. Just people that have been, Bitcoin's the first time where we have an asset that a multi-billionaire, a single-digit millionaire, a working class person, and someone on the street that's like sweeping the street can all buy the same asset, get in at pretty much the same price without getting raped on fees. It's the first time we have that. I truly think there's so many people that are doing such a great job around the world, helping people understand why they need to save in Bitcoin and why they can use Bitcoin to elevate their freedom. For me specifically, I focus on a minority group and helping the minority group known as rich people. understand why they need Bitcoin. That's my goal, right? My goal, my worry, I think everyone else is doing such a fantastic job at helping other people. The worry for me and what caught my heart was like my parents who immigrated to the United Kingdom from Africa, and then they're thrown into this system. They don't understand it. They got to battle the racial situation that was going on in the UK at the time. They've now spent 35 years building a property portfolio because they knew that was the right thing to do. That property portfolio, they've slaved for it, they've worked for it, they've given up their own life for it because they think that one day that legacy is going to be passed on to their children, i.e. me and my brother and the children that we have. And what they don't realize is because of the debasement on the British pound, today that property portfolio needs to be worth 90% more than it is in order to maintain the value that they wasted their life for. So that's the people, that's the minority that I care about. It's the rich people, the single-digit millionaires who are sitting there. When I say that rich people need Bitcoin more than poor people, I'm not talking about the Larry Finks of the world, right? I'm not talking about the Warren Buffetts of the world. I'm talking about the millionaire next door, your parents, my parents, people who have slaved for 40 years thinking they're doing the right thing by owning these assets, and they don't realize they're being debased away because unlike Bitcoin, you can push the supply lever on these assets just the same as you can push the demand lever. So that's my world. I think there's a minority group everywhere that needs to understand Bitcoin, and my minority group is rich people.
I've always respected British Hollow, bro. He don't never give. I love him. I've always liked British, bro, because you it's the way you convey your message, and you do it with a lot of dignity, bro. I've always liked that since we talked on Clubhouse, man. Because you always paint a picture. Because it comes to me like it's about saving time too. You know what I mean? Like that dollar is going to kill everyone's time. Like every human on earth has to succumb to sleep, food, water, and the best use of your time. And like I have an example. There's this one guy I used to teach Bitcoin to on Clubhouse. He did like 30 years from 18 to 48 in prison. And I asked someone, I was like, what was the price of the US dollar in like 89? It was like 95, 96 cents. And so when he came home, it was like 85 cents. And I was like, that shows a lot of things. Number one, that it will show that the lack of having financial literacy will have you throw your life away for money that is proven to get worse over time. So it's a terrible slide not to understand money. And then, from Hollow's point of view, with his parents, they still spent 30 some years, and that money has to be 100% more valuable than the time they put in. It's a terrible game. So I've always
it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. Can you imagine? Like, I can understand someone who has not got any wealth, right? They're starting from zero. They can understand I don't have any wealth. Can you imagine the amount of heartbreak and anguish of a parent that has spent 30 years building a legacy that they thought was real, only to find that, like, my dad came to the UK, he could buy 10 properties, right? I grew up 20, 30, 40 years later, I can still buy 10 properties, right? They might not be the same type of property, they might not be the same in the same location, but I can still do it, right? Bitcoin's the first time that no matter what my children or grandchildren do, outside of the miraculous, they will not be able to buy 10 Bitcoin, let alone 1 Bitcoin, right? Because of the finality of supply on this asset. So I think everyone needs to understand that. And what I love about the Bitcoin community is that, if you want to help people understand Bitcoin, there are all the groups, the whole spectrum needs education, the whole spectrum needs teaching, the whole spectrum needs guidance. So, I think we're all doing the best we can. That's all we can do. All we can do is pray to God and do the best we can for the people that we care about.
Yeah. You don't get mass adoption unless you touch all the groups.
You got to meet them where they are, whoever it is. There's something, you're somewhere, you're going to connect with someone that I won't connect with. And you're going to connect with someone that I won't be able to connect with, but someone can connect with everyone.
Absolutely.
But
I agree about the conference. It's a shit show.
Tell us how
I
you really
agree.
feel about it, Huddle. Tell us how you really feel, man. What's up?
It's just a complete shit show. You know what it reminds me of? Like, you know, the funniest part was like the new nerds that have never spoken to girls before. Because if you go to a real estate conference, right, or a stock market conference, like random floozies can't just get in there because you got to own property. You got to be smart about it. This is the first asset, which is so young. You got a bunch of nerds that have never spoken to women before. You got women that can buy $50 worth of Bitcoin and get into the conference and act like players. And then they're coming together and they're collapsing and colliding. I mean, me and Chris had a bunch of funny times just doing some people watching. Let's just put it like that.
Man, I'm mad
Just
I
the
ain't
shit.
meet you. That's when I first met Chris in person. Was at Bitcoin 2021, which, by the way, I felt was probably the best conference that could ever
I
be
agree.
put together.
I
Mainly
agree.
because we were fresh off of COVID and Clubhouse, but I think that was the best conference that will ever be put together by Bitcoin. But you're right, though, man. Like, I'm like, wow, like, what the hell are y'all talking about half the time anyway? Wow, like, what the fuck? But it becomes the same old same. Like,
The thing I don't like about conferences the most is that they're encouraging people to spend Bitcoin, right? I'm a proponent of you're not taking a single fucking Satoshi of mine. I don't like it's mine. This is the only time that we've got an asset that can truly be mine, and you want me to spend it on some bullshit like that makes no sense to me. So I'm of the idea that everyone needs to be educated on you grab your Satoshis and you hold on to them as tight as you can while we're in this store of value phase for this asset.
how long you think we're in that phase, Otto?
Sorry?
How long you think we're in that phase?
A long time. We're gonna spend a long time in this phase. And the problem is people are buying like, I don't know, all kinds of shit with Bitcoin right now, like Bitcoin art and all this other bullshit, spending their Satoshis on it. They're gonna be looking at that art. And the best bit about that is that it's real, there's gonna be real revenge, right? Because they're gonna be looking at that piece of shit art on their wall that they spent $1,000 of Bitcoin on, and that $1,000 of Bitcoin would now be worth 200 grand, and that art piece is worth bullshit. At least they've got the actual physical reminder that I shouldn't have spent my Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Those
One
two
thing I
pieces
want
weren't
to
worth
say as
it.
well is, this is what we talked about during Clubhouse days, right? We made sure to let people know, hey, bitcoinourshit.com, right? Like, the Oculus Drift example, and now we got the Apple version of that coming out in the next few years. People are going to be so pissed off, right, that they spent their hard-earned money on Apple goggles per 5,000 when they could have bought Bitcoin, and then in a few years, just like what British said, they're probably not even gonna play with it, or there's gonna be a newer version, a cheaper version of it, right? Because they're gonna condense it, they're gonna make it a little bit more affordable for everybody. So you just spent $5,000 on that when you could have just bought Bitcoin and chilled, and now that $5,000 is worth $500,000. Now you're like, that's enough pain, to make somebody cry. In my opinion, I think that's gonna be a wake up call, but at that point it'll be a little bit too late. But that's why we
Too
educate.
late. Absolutely right. It's too late at that point. Because
It's
it's not like real estate where you could just go find another opportunity somewhere else. Bitcoin is worldwide now at the exact same time for every single person existing and breathing. It's not like real estate going, oh, I missed the real estate opportunity in London, so I'm going to go take advantage of the real estate opportunity in New York. It doesn't work like that. So I love conferences because I think they do a good job. But at this point, with this particular asset, like I look at conferences and I'm like, the Bitcoin price was 20 grand and people were spending 7 G's on a fucking conference ticket.
Yo, those whale passes. Oh my God, bro.
Like, you're not a whale. That should be called a dummy pass. Like, I don't think everyone should make a rule. You're not going to a conference until you get to 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Which goes back to one of the videos.
It would be a totally different conference.
What'd you say, Nick?
It would be a totally different experience, a totally different conference if that was.
I don't think anybody would be there. I think like 95% of people wouldn't be there unless they got in early.
But
You
think about it,
know,
like, what are you doing? You're going to Miami, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world. Now it's changed, right, for next year. So you're going to Miami, one of the most expensive cities in the world. I spent $800 in Ubers in 72 hours because everything's all over the fucking place and I don't ride anything but like exec. So it's like, it's a shit show when it comes to that. You got to spend $100 just to get to the restaurant. Um, you now got, people trying to convince you to spend your Bitcoin on bullshit that they've made up so they can grab your Satoshis. So it's like, and then everything's all over the damn place. So you can't even take advantage of the conference to what it's meant to, which is why I've not been yet, but I really like the way that BitBlock Boom sets up their conference, right? From what I've seen and the people I've spoken to, that looks like more of a valuable conference to attend if you wanted to make the choice to attend one. And then, in addition to all of that, as if that's not enough of an insult, you go to the conference and 50% of the fucking conference is shitcoiners.
This year was not as bad as last year. I'll tell you that.
Okay, that's
But
good.
last year was horrible in terms of shitcoiners. They were
22?
everywhere. Yes, this year was not that bad. Like because Bitcoin took a dip, whatever the price, so a lot of those shitcoiners weren't even there. And it was it was a much more enjoyable experience this year compared to last year. Because I remember last year, just like, is this a Bitcoin conference or a crypto conference? Like, it says Bitcoin, 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 but everyone's talking and shilling all this bullshit. But this
what was
year,
that one coin people were shilling that people were like, it got bad. I didn't even really stick around for 22. 23 was a little bit better, like you said, Nick. It was a lot more calm.
wasn't as many people.
Right. And me and Chris were talking about that too, just like the ridiculous amount of price of the tickets. It's like, I don't know why people would, I think I do know why though. Because it's the show, it's the flam of it. I think a lot of people who keep just paying for conference tickets like that over and over have to be the new batch of people who's gonna come in.
They are new because if they understood that they can buy Bitcoin with that, like British said it, I said it, you said it. If we can buy, if I had a choice to buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin or go to a conference, for me, because I understand it, I'm buying Bitcoin all day. I'm not gonna go spend that money frivolously on a conference, especially when you're gonna watch the whole thing online. I know it's great to fellowship and to connect and to be with everybody, but at the same time, like with British, it's only 21 million. It's less than 21 million because about 20% is lost forever. Who knows? It's probably more than that. So
human error is going to make one Bitcoin so over the years, human error, there'll be more Bitcoin lost than there'll be supply.
Absolutely.
And that's going to make that one Bitcoin just ever so valuable because a lot of people going to lose it. A lot of people going to lose it. The hell happened?
So go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just going to say, since we were talking about the conference and like spending Bitcoin and all that stuff,
Yeah.
I brought some friends there that were not Bitcoiners on purpose because I think that was a really great opportunity for them to be educated on more so how you can spend Bitcoin without spending Bitcoin. Like a lot of people, when you introduce like the Lightning Network to somebody and that you're able to send dollars over the Lightning Network and use a network that's free to tap into instead of, let's say, Chris, I buy your book, for example, over the Lightning Network with USD. I send USD over the Lightning Network. You get that money instantly. You're not paying a fee to Visa. You're not paying a fee to MasterCard, but you're getting instant settlement. So from a business perspective, what would you rather have? But a lot of people just associate Bitcoin as what's the price? Oh, you mean there's 100 million Satoshis in each Bitcoin? What? Like there's just so much opportunities to educate people.
Yeah.
So I think for me, like I don't spend like my actual Bitcoin. But if someone's going to give me a 10%, 25% discount to send them US dollars over the Lightning Network, everyone's winning. And I like your customer with Bitcoin with over Lightning, it could be anyone anywhere in the world because they can pay you. And you get their funds immediately. And there's no drawback. They can't call a credit card company like, hey, I want to dispute this. No, there are no disputes. It's instant settlement and you get that in your account, which is huge.
Absolutely.
But too much fluff at the conferences.
Absolutely. What we're going to do next, we're going to jump into some tweets, and I want to get, of course, everybody's thoughts. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. If you guys didn't know, I thought this was pretty dope. You can get a VPN in 30 seconds, which is cool. You can pay with the Lightning Network if you guys are looking to get a VPN. No email, no account, no BS. Um, it's called LN underscore Lightning Network, which is short for, and then underscore VPN. So I thought this was pretty dope. You guys go check them out. What are you guys' thoughts on, just getting a VPN with no signing up? Just like Bitcoin, right? You don't need a bank account, don't need an ID, don't need a social security number, don't need discrimination, no none of that, right? So here, same thing with a VPN if you're getting, if you can access certain websites or, whatever on your web browser.
I think it's straight. VPN and privacy, that's a big thing to people. And the fact that, damn, my back. The fact that you can just pay money and get it is like I said, it's that old school Bitcoin way. Just being able to buy it, no name, no nothing needed. Very traditional, decentralized way of doing things, in my opinion. And we probably all know someone who uses VPNs for a lot of their livelihood activities, and we're not even talking about nothing illegal. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's good, especially that it's easy to get. Real easy to get, really.
Absolutely. Nick.
Yeah, like Justin said, I definitely think it's awesome that you can not be KYC'd and get your Bitcoin. No, and anyone can do it. There's no trace to you, which is the whole point. I mean, obviously, you're going to get some KYC Bitcoin, but if you can learn how to not do that, and there's ways out there, it's just you have to take the time to learn.
Excellent. British.
I don't know anything about this company, so I can't comment on that. But I'd have to see where the company was registered, who's like managing the data. But it involves spending Bitcoin, so it's shit.
Heard. All right. Excellent. Thank you, guys. All right. So next tweet that I saw, I want to get you guys' thought on the rebrand of X, and if you think it is. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, right? So Twitter is no longer Twitter; it's now X. What do you guys' thought on it? And do you agree with the thought that it's really symbolic and Freemason, like has that satanic background or hint of satanic or just occult symbolism attached to it? Yes or no? And we'll start with British. You first.
I think it's fantastic. I think Elon Musk has done a pretty good job here. I'm more of a fan of X, previously Twitter, every single day. I think it's really good. And as a marketer, advertiser, business person, I think it's going to become the most powerful business tool, social media wise, alongside YouTube, very very quickly. And I like the vision and the timeline that he's got on it. As far as all the Freemasonry stuff goes, I'll leave that. Like, to me, everything is I don't know, how do I put it? Everything that takes your attention away from your purpose and accumulating Bitcoin comes from the devil. So in that scenario, like nothing much is left, right? So it's like, is this the best version of that? Yes, I think so. I think it's going to be extremely valuable when we can see, like, imagine if you put this podcast that you're recording onto Twitter, and then you can get the ability to re-advertise to the verified members only that watch the video. Like, that blows all of the advertising of all of these other companies out of the water.
Excellent. I agree. If it distracts you from, like you said, I agree. I think everything is really, in our society, I feel like everything's already, on that level. And
Chris, it's like everyone hates Coinbase, right? Because everyone's like, Coinbase is promoting shitcoinery. Like, my message to people is Coinbase still has the lowest fees out of anyone out there. So you should use Coinbase as long as you take personal custody of that Bitcoin immediately. Now, if you are stupid enough to receive an email and get convinced that I'm going to sell the hardest asset known to mankind for some doggy 69 coin, you're the fucking idiot, not Coinbase. It's you that's the muppet.
I agree. Personal accountability is a must. I agree. Nick, your thoughts on X, aka Twitter?
I could care less what the name is. I definitely think Twitter has gotten, or X, whatever, has been better since Elon's purchased it. Just overall experience is better. I use it the same way in terms of like I'm not blue checked. I don't plan on doing that, but I think it's gotten better overall from my experience. I can't complain about it.
All right, no problem. And Justin.
I mean, shit. All at the end of the day, man, all social medias are just a big constant, like dopamine hit to the brain. It doesn't really matter. And then when the whole Freemasonry talk, I don't even necessarily get too much into stuff like that. I'm not here to say it's right or wrong, but um, like that's all the social media is a way to keep you on the app. And if they can keep you on the app, they're gonna keep you on there. And shit, I'm dead serious, bro. Like I really just try to use this for like a business purpose, maybe to promote what I'm doing. And I'm in and out to the best of my ability. If I get caught up into some rant, like British said, it's the devil blinding me from Bitcoin. But outside of that, I try to use it as a platform for what it's used for, be in, be out, meet cool people if I can, and just move on from it. Because no matter what the platform is, people gonna go to the next thing that sounds cool, whether it's Noster, whether it's Threads, whatever it is, people gonna find a Pinterest. It doesn't matter. It's already been sealed in. You're gonna give us your time, energy, and attention anyway. So you're gonna stay, you're gonna go. They ain't gonna worry about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right,
I
great,
don't
great.
get. You know what I don't get? I don't get when everyone suddenly argues now everything needs to be decentralized. Like Nostr is the best version of a decentralized social media, but it's still shit. Like I don't know if anyone's actually tried to use it as a user experience. It's still shit. So
It's definitely a
not
different.
everything needs to be decentralized, guys. Like we've got money that's decentralized. Let's start there. This week the U.S. is finally got hearings on technology that's been hidden from the public. No one's paying attention to that. Everyone's worried about fucking X.com. So, like, let's worry about that. Then let's worry about decentralizing energy. Then we can get to worrying about whether the fucking social media network needs to be decentralized or not.
Absolutely, fix the money first, and then you fix the world. I agree.
Yeah, you fix that, a lot of other things will just fall in place. But I mean, as the Twitter files revealed, though, there was a lot of things that would have changed if there wasn't centralization.
Hey guys, listen, I hate to do this. I got to break early, man. Chris, don't beat me up when you see me in public.
Yeah,
British, don't run me over with your bulletproof Rolls Royce when you see me. But everybody, shout out, man. Follow me on Twitter, Bitcoin_vegan. Also follow BTCTC1set, and I'm see y'all around in the Twitter streets. All right.
All right, take care. Thanks for joining, brother.
Yes, man. Peace.
Thank you, Justin. Have a good night, man.
All right, next topic. We're gonna jump into. I'm gonna jump right to you, British. 84%, 84.9% of portfolio should be allocated towards Bitcoin. This is bullish. What are your thoughts?
It's not bullish. It's bullish as fuck.
Hey.
But really, what they said was, you got to understand what this is, right? Like I understand Bitcoin is like to take everything that comes out and try and position it so that it works for us. But really, what this is an internal study that was done by 3 analysts at BlackRock, and what they came out with was that the conclusion of the study is that the most ideal optimal risk versus reward portfolio is an 84.9% allocation to Bitcoin, a 9.06% allocation to stocks, a 6.04% allocation to bonds, completely throwing everything out. Now, everything in the traditional finance world out. Now, the interesting thing about this is this was 2022, and this is literally for the eyes of professional and institutional investors only. It's convenient that 18 months later, BlackRock files for a Bitcoin ETF. So you can see, I found it amazing when people were telling me, oh, BlackRock just came out with the idea to set up an ETF all of a sudden. It's like, these people are morons. So this has obviously been thought about. BlackRock has been thinking about it. Now we can see the work that's coming out to defend the idea of them setting up an ETF. And the fact that they said the 84.9% is the perfect allocation when you factor in risk and volatility is just, it's fucking mind-blowing.
How much assets, like what is the total assets that they have like under management, BlackRock?
I think it's I think it's somewhere in the region of $9 to $11 trillion.
I mean, if you take 85% of that, if they take their own advice, you know what I
No,
mean?
it's
Like
ridiculous. So yeah, so Nick,
what's
so like when you study the price dynamics of market moving dynamics of Bitcoin, so the top 500 asset managers in the world control about $130 trillion, right? If you allocate based on BlackRock being the head honcho of all of these asset managers, if they take just 1% of their capital, which is $1.3 trillion, and put it into Bitcoin, based on Bank of America's research in the last bull run, $95 million was moving the total market cap of Bitcoin up by 1%. So the market cap of Bitcoin was 1.1 trillion. 1% move up is $11 billion. So it was only taking 95 million to move the total market cap by 11 billion. If you take 1.3 trillion and dump it into that, you're looking at $156 trillion market cap, which is a $7.3 million.
just numbers, right? It's just how
It's just
wild.
math. It's just math. Excellent. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
wild.
you said it's a $7.3 million Bitcoin British. Did I hear you correctly? You were breaking up a little.
That's with a 1.3%, sorry, a 1% allocation of the top 500 asset managers only, not including privately managed wealth, not including like real estate assets of privately held investors. None of that. This is just the assets under management for the top 500 asset managers in the world.
Woo. God candle incoming.
I'm gonna have to turn my iPhone sideways to make sure my calculator can do these numbers.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Let's see. That is the last tweet that I have on the tweet board. And before we wrap up, I mean, you guys have any topics, any subjects you want to cover? I know we were talking about business earlier, and we're talking about how to accumulate more Bitcoin. So, I mean, open discussion here.
I've never met you, British Holly. Where are you located?
I'm all over the place. I'm all over. I'm originally from London, but I'm all over the place. I live in three different places in the world.
Nice. Have you seen like in different locations like Bitcoin adoption more so than others?
Yeah. So currently I'm in Latin America, and it's interesting, but it's not as good as I thought it would be. I think Asia is doing a lot better. I think Africa is doing a lot better at adoption. Obviously, El Salvador is like the one, but I don't think it's actually doing as well as what is being promoted, right? So you have to take that into consideration. But I'm looking forward to spending more time, I think, in Asia and Africa for the next 5 years of my life, based on what I've seen as far as what's going on with Bitcoin over there.
Gotcha.
What about you? Where are you from?
I'm born and raised in Florida, so I've got the American perspective where Bitcoin's made me start to question everything.
What was the first thing you questioned?
The Federal Reserve. I read a book, The Secrets of the Federal Reserve. Well, I read the Bitcoin Standard, right? So learned a bunch about that. But then I read The Secrets of the Federal Reserve, and you found out like how the Federal Reserve was created, and just basically how it's just one big scam. They named it Federal Reserve because it would seem like a government agency because they couldn't call it a central bank, and then that really got me questioning everything. And then being an American, our money is devaluing, but like for example, my girlfriend's Colombian, their currency is devaluing quicker than ours. So it just really gets my wheels spinning. Like Americans, it's all about the number. How much is it worth? It's not about it's not about the freedom of what Bitcoin is. And it's both because it's valuable, right? But born and
my ex-girlfriend was Colombian and Venezuelan. She definitely understood more about the freedom tech side of Bitcoin than I did, for sure, right? And that part's extremely important, and her work in trying to help people understand that is extremely vital too. So yeah, there's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve, right? That's the first thing that people fucking
at all. Like not one thing. But that was wild to me. Like, you know, how they and how they passed the bill, how they did all that, how colluded it was. And like I made a tweet today. I was like, the U.S. dollar is like obviously we all know it's a shit coin, but why is it a shit coin? Well, they change their monetary policy every single minute of the day, like every single second, every single time they print more money, their monetary policy is completely changing. Compare that to Bitcoin, its monetary policy is the same, already planned, and it's just like the U.S. dollar as they continue to print, it's just wild to think like.
You want to hear something funny about the Federal Reserve, right? So it was founded in 1913. You know what happened in 1912?
Titanic.
The Titanic happened in 1912. When you know what I'm about to say?
Chris knows, I think. But
so the guy who owned 40% of all the mortgages in the U.S. was on the Titanic when it died. When the ship went down, and all of the Rockefellers and all this other stuff, the founding people of the Federal Reserve, were meant to be on the Titanic until the last second. Now, I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy, but it's something interesting to note. You know, the one guy that owns 40% of all the debt in the U.S. housing market went down in the Titanic, and the next year the Federal Reserve was set up.
There are no coincidences. Yeah, when I found out about that, I'm like, yeah, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
It's just wild. It's so like, you know, and then you like growing up, learning the school system wherever you live, you learn that history, you learn it, and they ingrain it. It's like you start learning a little bit outside. It's like, wait, what else? And then Bitcoin just kind of like the principles of Bitcoin, like it kind of it makes so much sense. Like the proof of
you should definitely go. You should definitely, if you guys both haven't paid attention to like the hearings that are starting this week by the U.S. Congress on like UAP technologies that are reverse engineered from UFO technologies and this, that, and the other. They created a whole whistleblower package to protect whistleblowers to come out. Now, to think about this, do you think U.S. Congress is going to set up fucking hearings about this if they didn't have enough evidence to go, maybe there is some technology that's being hidden by some of these big companies? Like this is happening this week and no one's talking about it in the media.
Yeah, I've heard about that. And it's also to distract you from, you know, the trafficking news, right? Because we heard about the trafficking news and with the U.S. having, you know, U.S. government being involved with that. You know, it's all these things are coming out all at the same time to distract us, in my opinion. But yeah, for them, because they've been slowly, what they'll do is they program us, right? It's first it's in the movies, slowly but surely. Then we got people taking videos, right, of, you know, UFOs. Then it's on the news, right? Then it's on the news. Then it's on the news. Then we got government officials talking about it. And then now we have a Congress hearing, right? So I think slowly but surely it's a part of the bigger plan to, you know, reveal that, you know, alien technology is here and they've been here.
It's just kind of interesting. Like, can you imagine if in the next 2 decades the world gets decentralized money and 0-point energy? Like, you no longer have to pay for energy because of the actual understanding of physics that's outdated in the school system today. Like, when you study physics today, they tell you that if we were in person, right, the space between us is empty. But there's already evidence. There's already telescopes in the sky that have taken certain pictures. I can't remember the exact scientific term, but certain pictures to prove that the space between us, there are atoms here, and this is not empty space. And so you can pull energy from the space around you. Can you imagine, like, if we have decentralized money and energy, like within the next 2 decades, what that will do to the prosperity of the world? It's unbelievable.
And will they allow that technology to be revealed, though? That's the question.
Well, that's what they're trying to do now. So the question you have to ask yourself is the government in cahoots, or is the government also blindsided?
They're in cahoots.
You think so? Because if let's say I and you were running, let's say all of us were running the $900 trillion empire, and we had all these technologies, I would also create an environment where I would put this government up front that thought everything was fine and they were the ones in power. And I would let them imagine all that shit while we just took care of business. So I don't know. I don't know whether maybe they're in cahoots just by being funded, but then they don't actually know what's going on, you know? Who knows? I certainly don't know.
But what we do know is that every 10 minutes, there's going to be a Bitcoin block. And that's certain in an uncertain world.
Absolutely. So there's only 3 rules to Bitcoin, Nick, that I always tell people, and they never fucking listen to me, right? Step number 1 is buy Bitcoin. Step number 2 is shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.
It's really that simple.
It's literally that simple. You know what? I'm reminded of that tweet that I sent out years ago, and I'm like, you can literally get rich by.
You remember when the first time I said that on Clubhouse, Chris? Like everyone was like, "Yeah, it is actually that simple." I'm like,
"Yeah,
it's
literally that simple." It sounds easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. All right, because the volatility of Bitcoin can scare you out, right? And that's what it's there.
It's not that. It's the volatility of life.
Absolutely.
I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, "Oh, big volatility, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Well, how old is Bitcoin?" Like, I don't know. Well, I'll let you know. It's 14 years old. What happens as a teenager? You go through adolescence. That's what volatility is. It's the adolescence phase of Bitcoin. It's still trying to figure out itself in terms of the value that you want to place on in a bullshit currency. By the time you place that value on that currency's not going to be around because who cares what it is worth in USD? But like whenever anyone asks me, "Look, should I buy Bitcoin?" It's like, well, yeah, obviously, but more importantly, it's have a long time preference. You don't think you're going to sell it tomorrow. You're going to hold this shit for for a long time, for your kids and their kids, because when it's crazy because we're so early, right? It's only 14 years old. In 2040, 2050, it's going to be like, wait, you have a whole Bitcoin? Not even that. It's going to be sooner than that. It's like, wait, that's worth how much? And then you're like, wait, I don't give a fuck about what it's worth in USD. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not going to, like, the US dollar just sold Bitcoin, like Mt. Gox's Bitcoin. Why would you sell the hardest asset for some bullshit currency? Like, they had to, but like,
the FOMO hasn't kicked in yet, right? And the FOMO will kick in. I always say, you know, like in this last cycle in 2020, we priced out Western middle class. In the next cycle, we're about to price out Western single-digit millionaires. In the next cycle, we're about to price out Western ultra-high net worth individuals. Like, it's like watches, right? Like in the last cycle, I collect watches, and in the last cycle, everyone went fucking nuts over watches. Because the FOMO kicked in, they were paying, you know, for an $11,000 Rolex Daytona, they were paying up to $55,000 for it because of the FOMO. Now, the difference with watches and Bitcoin is they can't just make more fucking Bitcoin, whereas Rolex uptick the production and suddenly the price is trimmed down a little bit. So now you're paying $35,000 for that same $11,000 watch. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's like, no, once it's done, like once that person pays 55 for that Bitcoin, it's theirs. So we don't understand a true finality of supply event. Humanity has never experienced this. Bitcoin is the true 0 to 1 moment for money.
The only thing you could even compare it to is time. But when your time is over, you're dead. But you know what I mean? Like, so you're not experiencing it. Like that's the only thing that's more scarce than Bitcoin. And after it's over, you're not gonna you're done.
Imagine when Bitcoin hits dollar parity, right? And 100 million Satoshis is $100 million. And one Bitcoin is $100 million. That's bearish in my opinion. But can you imagine? Could you imagine?
I can't. I mean,
can you imagine buying 30,000? So I think 100,000 Satoshis is $30 right now. So for 100,000, you can basically. I don't know when it's gonna happen, right? But it's gonna happen, right? We're gonna see that in God candle, and even if it takes some time, right? Just the thought of 100 million Satoshis being in parity with the dollar is a possibility in our lifetime is mind-boggling.
I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just, again, enjoy the ride. But
Enjoy the
and I
ride.
love.
And you know, people always Bitcoin has a meme, right, which says "cry harder," right? And I don't like that. I think Bitcoiners, once you understand Bitcoin, your duty is to care harder because we have been trained to not care, and the reason why we have been trained to not care is if you look at any of these properties behind me, if I wanted to buy a deal and a deal was really good, I could not care about you, Nick, or you, Chris, enough because if I told you that that deal is a good deal, we're now in competition. With Bitcoin, we're not in competition. I can tell you, look at Bitcoin. I've just got into it. You need to fucking look at it. And I'm not in competition with you. The only differential is what price I bought it at and what price you bought it at. That's it. It's the symmetry of information on Bitcoin is unbelievable. It's the first time again in human history that we have this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that we don't understand because we've never had to face this yet.
Mm-hmm. It's wild. Like when you start really thinking about the supply and demand dynamics of Bitcoin, and the fact that there's only like around 1.5 million on exchange or ish, whatever, give or take, and there's only going to be another million-ish producing the rest of time. It doesn't make like your brain just it doesn't really function that.
And now BlackRock's here, right? So when you factor in like Wall Street is probably going to control. I think in public treasuries there's like 2 million Bitcoin already. I might have to confirm that, but I think over the next decade, somewhere in the region of 5 to 8 million Bitcoin will be controlled by Wall Street. They're never gonna let that fucking go. So you got 4 or 5 million Bitcoin already lost, 5 to 8 million Bitcoin controlled by Wall Street in the next decade. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, this is, and then you got hodlers like me, like Chris, like you, like we're not letting go of our Bitcoin. So yeah, this is, I mean, barely 3 to maybe 6 million Bitcoin are probably actually truly available between now and 2140.
It's wild. It's wild.
That's why. So I hope that helps you understand why I'm not a proponent of spending your Bitcoin.
No, I don't like. I agree. I don't think anyone should spend their Bitcoin. But then there is a part of me though, where, and depending on where you are in the world, where let's just say you had no other way to send value to anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, that's different. You have to.
I agree. No, what I'm saying is like for you, for me, Bitcoin's good for everyone. It kind of meets you where you are and what you need it for. Like, and it's awesome for everyone, but everyone can benefit from a little differently. But I mean, I don't think anyone should spend their Bitcoin. But if I can, like, as a business, if I can receive US dollar, I'd rather receive Bitcoin. But if I can receive that and not have to pay a fee, and I can keep more money, and but if you don't want to deal with the volatility, like that's a huge use case for like the Lightning Network. And that's the kind of stuff where like, you're for example, you're in Latin America. Like if I were to send you US dollars through Western Union, you're not going to get that for a little while, right? And when you get it, it's going to be probably what 93% ish of what I sent you, because they have to pay their rent, they have to pay their employees, they have their bills. The Lightning Network's free and like anyone can tap into it. So what's a better? It's just like that's how. But how you talk to people, they don't even know what Bitcoin is. Like I talked to someone the other day, he goes, "Oh, Bitcoin's too volatile, blah blah blah." Like, do you even like know what the Lightning Network is? Like, just ask them those basic questions about like, you know what a Satoshi? Like, all right, I get that you don't know what you're talking about, but just because you don't know what you're talking about, we're so early. And those conversations, like, I love doing these, but when I talk to somebody that doesn't know anything about Bitcoin, that makes me even more bullish. It makes me like, wait, you don't even understand in the beginning of what Bitcoin is. And once you do, you're not gonna be able to see it the same way ever again.
Absolutely. The video I posted on my YouTube page about somebody on my Facebook page, because Facebook is like for the boomers and people that are so oblivious, right? That's why I love being on Twitter, because people on Twitter have, they have an open mind, and I'm stuck between like a bunch of traders that trade options on Twitter, because I have a bunch of friends that trade options and they trade stocks and all that stuff, and then the other half of my Twitter is like Bitcoiners, right? So it's always like these two people, and I'm always trying to convince the traders to buy Bitcoin and whatnot. But in my video I said Bitcoin is like you said, Nick, Bitcoin is for you. It's going to depend on where you are in life and where you are in the world. what Bitcoin means to you. So Bitcoin is different for everybody else, and we're privileged enough. I've been saying this for years in America to use it as a savings account. When people in Venezuela got hyperinflation, and in Kenya and Turkey and all the things that we're seeing with hyperinflation in these countries. So thank God we don't have to deal with that, but they do. So for them to transact, Bitcoin is probably going to be the best option for them.
And Bitcoin's hitting all-time highs in those currencies. Like,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like, I forgot. I mean, I'm not going to quote anything because I probably but I know for a fact that like Bitcoin's all-time high in USD was in 2000, whenever it was. But in like the lira, it's its all-time high like right now. So like people like it's crazy because these countries are going through hyperinflation, but America's going through inflation, maybe not hyper. But I was doing some like searching earlier. In 2009, when Bitcoin was created, America was 10.5 trillion in debt.
We're at 31 trillion.
31 trillion since Bitcoin was created. Like, wait, what? Like, $1 is worth 42%.
You can thank Donald Trump for that.
Yeah, because he printed out that stimmy. Thank you. And he needs to come back and print some more bread.
Hey, let print some more for me so I can buy some more Bitcoin before.
That's right. That Bitcoin stimulus website was just so crazy because it was like it went to like $9,000. The $1,200 went to like $9,000, bro. And it's crazy that you could that's how much the value of the dollar depreciated over that time, which is like, and it happened in such a short period of time because of COVID. But they clawed all that back, right? They started to tighten up. They're tightening up interest rates, and liquidity is tightening up. So they really that's how you can gauge, right? That's how we gauge the strength of Bitcoin is really the strength of the U.S. dollar.
For now.
British, your final take. Actually, Nick, we'll go to you. Final takes for the show. I appreciate you guys hopping on. But your final takes, your message to everybody in Bitcoin, and
buy Bitcoin, put it in cold storage, don't sell it, and enjoy your life.
Amen. All right, British, your final message.
Step number 1, buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.
Excellent.
Pleasure, gentlemen.
Excellent. Thank you guys for joining. I'll text you guys in a little bit. And so what we did today was just pretty much go over, our insights with, Bitcoin and what's going on. And we went over some tweets. So shout out to everybody that joined. Shout out to Bitcoin Vegan. Shout out to Nick. Shout out to British Huddle. Before we leave here, make sure you guys go check out BitcoinDadFiatDad.com. Go pre-order my new book coming soon. You can order in fiat or in, Bitcoin, whatever you decide to do. If you guys are interested in your Bitcoin flags, as you can see there, go to bitcoinflags.shop. They're only there for a limited time. I think they're only there for like a month or 2 more, and then they're done. So if you are interested in a Bitcoin flag, go get that. And final shout out, make sure you go to swanbitcoin.com /Bitcoin Chris, get $10 free Bitcoin. And this jacket is actually from FOMO21.com. So it says Bitcoin. So shout out to FOMO21.com if you guys want some Bitcoin merch. And then last but not least, ladies and men, if you're interested in collagen and Collapop, it helps out with your, workouts after you work out. It's collagen in our skin, hair, nails, all that good stuff. It's a protein in our bodies. So, it's good to supplement because after the age of 25, you start to lose collagen. So if you guys want to supplement, go to collapop.com. Use code 25, get 25% off. And also, it's free shipping on all orders. So shout out to you guys. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed on my Twitter, on my YouTube, make sure you go do so. If you're not following me on Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you follow the guests as well. Much love, you guys. Bitcoin Chris checking out. See you guys in the next live stream.